welcome back! Today I have a really fun DIY and super easy DIY, might I add, for you, and it is just going to be a plant hanger, kind of like a macrame kind of plant hanger. I have one hanging up here, and it's just so easy to do. Really, all you need is some cording, some kind of cording. I have here some cotton, just some white cotton rope that I got from my local craft store, and it's really cheap stuff. Usually it runs around 50 cents a yard. And you also might need a ruler just to kind of measure things if you're a little bit more precise in your crafting. I have a ruler, just a regular old ruler here, and of course whatever plant you're going to use. So let's grab these things and get started. Okay, so all I'm doing here is just finding the ends of my rope and kind of putting them together, and I'm just going to cut it in half. So I have a very long piece here. I have about 10 yards, and I'm just kind of finding the middle of it, and I'm just going to cut it in half. So that's going to give you 4 pieces. So you take the one end and find the other end, and you're just going to kind of fold this in half to meet the other end. And so now you have the 8 pieces in your hand. And on the other end, you should have a loop. So you take this loop. I did my loop about 3 inches down. You're going to want to make your first knot. So I'm just knotting it here. So there I have a loop. And this is going to be the part where hanging this loop on something to do the next steps is going to be a whole lot easier. So I've literally just hung it on my pot rack hooks, and that's going to make it really easy for me to do the knots and keep track of everything. So you want to have your 8 pieces here, 4 on each side, and basically you're just going to take 2 pieces at a time and just start knotting them. So again, I'm going to take my ruler and just measure for the first knot. It's going to be at about 18 inches down from the knot. So here's 12 and 18. So I'm just going to make my first knot right there. And again, it's really just a simple knot, nothing fancy. Just going to kind of measure it again to make sure that it is in the right spot. So after you have your first knot done, you're just going to go around and do it four more times, taking again 2 pieces at a time and just knotting it in the same spot. And so now I have 4 pieces that have 4 knots, and they're all the same length. So the next step is going to be very similar. All we're going to do now is just take 2 of the knots, and then we're going to take 1 rope from each side and knot that together below. And for this one, I did it about 6 inches below the second knot that we did right here. So I'm doing it 6 inches from this knot. And again, I'm just going to be tying a regular knot. And so this is kind of the pattern that it's going to make. You have your 2 here, and then joining the 1 down here, and you're just going to go around and do that with each neighboring knot, and it's going to be done 5 more times for a total of 6. So this is all I'm doing is just knotting it again. You're just going around and joining its neighbor to the other one and tying a knot right at the 6-inch mark. So when you're done, you should start to see the pattern forming, and it's just really going to be a little basket, and your plant is going to kind of fit inside of that. Okay, so as we move down, we're just going to do the exact same process again and grab the 2 knots and 1 from each section and knot it again. But this time we're going to do it an inch shorter, so I'm going to do it at 5 inches and just go ahead and knot it again. And these measurements make it so that pretty much any size plant will fit in here. It's kind of a one-size-fits-all. I've used it with a smaller plant, and I'm also going to use this one for one of my larger plants. So once you have that done, you're pretty much done. All you have to do now is just grab all the pieces at the end and knot it again in all in one knot. That's going to hold the plant in place. And for that, I just did about 3 inches down, and I'm just gonna knot it at that mark. Just make sure it's nice and tight. You don't want your plant falling down. And then you have this leftover excess, which I just kind of unraveled each piece. You can just begin unraveling each cord and it'll just give you a really pretty tasseled effect. So at this point, you want to grab your plant that I'm using. I'm using this really pretty ivy plant. I'm just going to go ahead and slip it in. You just grab a couple pieces and just kind of position it in there, holding it with one hand on the bottom to make sure it doesn't fall. And you're just going to kind of slip it in. It should go in fairly easily. Another challenge might be getting all of the leaves to go in between the holes. You can begin adjusting the leaves and everything to go through the holes and just kind of positioning it the way you want it. So if you wanted to take it a step further, you could take each of these pieces that was hanging, and what I've done is just kind of unfurled every piece and you have like a tassel effect. And so I'm just going to go ahead and trim that because the ends are kind of uneven. So I'm just going to trim it off. And at this point you can wrap it with whatever thread you have. Here I just have some brown twine that I'm just going to wrap around the base right here just to kind of secure it and just to add a little bit of color. So what I'm going to do is just take the end of my piece, tie it to one strand. And this is just going to make it so that it's a little more secure and it's going to be able to be hidden when I start to wrap it. So I've just tied it in a regular knot, and this is going to hang down, but I'm going to be able to cover it up as I'm wrapping. So I'm just going to trim it down a little bit so I don't have to go too far. And I'm really just going to start wrapping this around base. And as you go down, you can kind of just cover this little piece up that's sticking out with the rope and hiding this little tail as I go. I would imagine this would be really pretty if you had any kind of colored twine, or it would be really nice with like a gold embroidery floss or something, or if you had colored embroidery floss, that would work too. This is what I had, and I really like the natural look, but really anything would work. So once you have it at a point where you like and the length that you like, and it's covered up your little piece, you can just go ahead and trim it off. And I'm just going to trim it pretty long because I'm going to go ahead and start tying it around the edge to make it look a little more professional. And again, so this piece is pretty much hidden. So you're just going to go in and take a little portion of whatever strings you have left and just tie a knot. And it's going to kind of make this pretty edge as you go down. And then this piece just gets blended back in, and you just grab another piece and just keep tying all the way around the base. And then you'll eventually be back to where you started, and you just do one final knot at the base, just one final little knot, and then you can double knot it if you want to, just to secure it, because we're going to trim off this extra piece. So just trim that off, and everything just kind of gets blended in. And you can continue to unfurl these if you want, but that's really about all it is. So that about does it for this DIY. I hope it was easy for you and easy to follow, and I really hope that you make it. I really want to see what you come up with. I'd really love to see all the different variations that can be done, because I feel like it's such a versatile thing and you can customize it exactly how you want it. and your space and everything. So definitely show me, and also make sure you follow me at Play at Home Wife on Instagram because I'm going to be doing some more plant decor things. I'm really excited to do more of those and just bring plants into my home. So if you enjoy that, be sure to follow me. But I hope you're having a great summer, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!